I wanted to tell you a little bit about playing with your family and why that's a big deal, what that is, and how that could work, and what effect that could have. So, when you think about playing with your family, probably, a lot of us have things that come to mind right away: board games, certain sports, wrestling on the floor. We certainly did lots of those kind of things when I was a kid. We used to have this game we'd always play with my dad where we called it catch and keep. And it basically was my dad laying on the floor. We'd try to run past him and he'd catch us and tickle us. And that was the game. It was as simple as that. And things like that can have such great memories and such great impact in a family. And I'll tell you, if there was one thing that I would tell families to do, sometimes you see on, when you're on a web page or something, it'll say, do this one thing to get rid of 5 pounds, or do this one thing to solve whatever. This would be like one of those. If there's one thing you could do, I would spend time playing with my family, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So, um, in the last video I did, I talked about how play has this relationship with safety and vulnerability, and it really is. You cannot play and enjoy play without feeling safe and without entering a state of vulnerability. And the other side of that is true too, that if you don't feel vulnerable, if you don't feel safe, you may be able to pretend you're playing, but you are not going to enjoy it. And so you can't fully engage in that. So think what that does in your family. When you play, you're creating safety, you're creating a containment for all kinds of situations. In my family, a lot of times when there's been a rough experience or something that's been stressful or hard, we'll on purpose make time to play in some kind of way. It could be board games, it could be telling stories, watching movies, and doing silly stuff, but we just do that. Play can be so many different things. I talked about it a little in the last video. Play can be organized, it can have rules, it can have no rules, it can be imaginative, it can be creating things. The play that is considered to be the most beneficial for the brain is a kind that's more imaginative, where you're pretending, where there aren't a lot of rules, where there aren't conflicts. And I don't mean not playing a conflict, but just nobody's fighting, in there. Now, that's not to say there couldn't be an argument, and then one argument's going to ruin the whole thing. But remember, play and safety are interrelated. So if there is a lot of fighting, then it no longer feels safe. People are going to become on guard and they're not going to play. So when you play and you're creating this safety, it allows for you and for your kids to actually vent and process the stress of whatever's happened. So in my family, we'll play and we'll do things, and it actually is releasing the stress. So play, it's been found, actually creates a kind of a buffer against stress in families. So it becomes sort of the oil in the engine, that protects it from burning out or melting down later. So it's not that you have to play every single day. It's that you have to have some regularity of some kind of play. So if it's every Saturday for half hour, so be it. If it's every few days for 15 minutes, so be it. Whatever you can do, but keeping it some kind of predictable or consistent timing is the best, because then everybody knows it's coming. They're kind of waiting to get to that point, and then they can enter into this safety and release things. So when we play, we're actually processing lots of things from our brain that's way down deep sometimes. Kids will do this all the time. Adults do it and don't even realize it at times. So the more safe, the more vulnerable you are in the play, then things can just kind of unspool and come out. So that in itself is pretty valuable. That's pretty important. Not only that, it builds so much connection in your family. You're literally disarming stress from having such a big role. And I think about stress in families like how, well, if you think of a ping pong ball, and when you have a ping pong ball and it gets a dent in it, it's sort of like the ping pong ball's over. You can't really use it anymore. If only there's a way to get inside that thing and, pop it back out. Well, I think, if there was a way to fill that ping pong ball up so it wasn't hollow, boy, then you really could. And having fun in a family fills the family up. It fills the individual up so that it does kind of pop out and then begins to resist more of those kind of dents. When you play, when you're having fun, you are transmitting so many values to your kids. You're showing them how to solve problems and how to resolve conflicts and how to be able to apologize when you step on somebody's toes and not have to make a big fuss about it. And you're demonstrating ways to repair relationships. You're demonstrating how to win and how to lose. There's so many things that come out when you play, that you're showing them, you're demonstrating it, they're experiencing it. So to not have that, or sometimes parents will say, well, I just don't have time. And I think, goodness, that this would save you so much time. There's so many things you will teach your kids and your family by doing this. You couldn't make enough time to teach all the things that could come through in that. Sometimes when I'm working with families, I'll kind of warn them a little bit that when you're going to talk about playing with your family, it's costly, because it does have some great benefits. Once you start doing it, it becomes something that you want to keep doing and that your family wants to keep doing. But it will cost you because it takes time, and most of us don't have time. You have to make the time by giving something else up. So it costs in that way. But I think that anything that really is valuable does cost. So I think it's appropriate for that to cost. But you're going to have to weigh that out yourself. What would you be willing to give up to gain some of the things that I'm describing? There's so many kinds of ways that you can incorporate play into your everyday life. I would do things like, build it into anything that you're already doing if you can. So we sometimes when we're driving, we goof around and we drive in ways we call the secret way. That's just our family thing. We say we're going to take the secret way, which usually means we're going a way we've never gone before, so that nobody's paying attention differently and we notice things. A lot of times we would make shopping trips into scavenger hunts. So if we go to Walmart and we've got to get some groceries there, then we're finding what's the grossest salsa you can find. Everybody go. Or maybe we're in Target and we're saying find the strongest Nerf gun that you definitely want to have, or the weakest Nerf gun, or find the weirdest kind of doll you've never seen before, or the gift that you think mom would really want, or if mom was going to want a Star Wars figure, what would be the one she'd want? So we're just making up these kind of weird scavenger hunts like that, just to make those trips a little more fun. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and they don't have to cost any money. Matter of fact, it's better if you really avoid that. In my family, we have had kind of a policy where we'll have dates with our kids. We have family dates where the whole family's playing, and then we have individual ones where we're spending time with kids individually. And we're really emphasizing that we're not doing it to spend money. We're not going shopping or to buy things. So it can be things like taking a hike and flipping a coin to see which direction you're going to go on the hike every time you hit a fork in the road, or going outside and finding a really weird rock together, or creating desserts that you've never created. If you've never invented popcorn flavors, boy, is that a great one. We sometimes have these things we call candy feasts, where I love these. And you can do them a couple ways. You could do a candy feast where everybody chooses a candy that they really love and they want everybody else to try. Or you could choose a kind of candy that you've always wanted to try, or that maybe you've never been able to try, and then everybody's gathering it up and we're dividing it, and everybody gets to try it. And the point of it isn't to just eat candy. The point of it is to enjoy each other enjoying something. And if I could say, that sentence probably could encapsulate all time that you spend with your kids in play. If you could make the focus of it enjoying them, enjoying something, you could really make quite a difference. I remember a time with my daughter where we were going on one of our real early dates. We were just getting started, and can I just confess, my wife and I have had this thing about Barbies, and we just didn't want to have any Barbies in our life at all. When we were starting to have kids, we said no, no Barbies. We didn't like the body image stuff and the consumerism and blah 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 blah. There was a lot of reasons, but we're up to our eyeballs in Barbies, and every relative and friend and other family we knew gave us Barbies, and we've got them coming out of every nook and cranny of our house. So my daughter was into Barbies. She was really young at the time, and I asked her what she'd want to do on her date, and she wanted to go to Target to look at Barbie accessories. I was dying a thousand deaths. They're like, God, we're never going to transmit our values. My daughter's going to value consumerism, and I don't want that. What do we do? And my wife's kind of teasing me, saying, remember, you got to delight in her. So we go to Target, and it just, I'm from the north originally. I'm from Wisconsin. And so we grew up learning how to drive in a snowstorm. And if you drive in a snowstorm, the one thing you have to do is decide, am I looking at the snow or am I looking at the road? And if you look at the snow, you probably won't be on the road long. And it felt like one of those kind of moments where I'm in Target and my daughter's showing me all these, Dad, look at this, Mary Poppins parasol for Barbie. And, and I have to look through the snow or the distraction in this case, which is all these accessories that I don't like. And I don't, I'm not into Barbies. I just, it's hard to relate to that. But I say that to say you have your version of things you can't relate to your kids. And it doesn't matter. If you can look through it, if you can look into the heart of them and delight in them delighting in it. So with my daughter, she was showing me all these things. Dad, look at these shoes. Dad, look at this Barbie hot tub. And I'm saying, wow, I can see just why you would love that. Tell me more about what you do. How would you use it? How would you play with it? What do you picture? Gosh, look at the sparkly stuff on that. That's just the kind of stuff you love. So I'm delighting in her, and then it's making her come alive, right? And while we were doing that, and I'm kind of doing the best I can, fighting through the, looking at the road instead of the snow kind of thing, there was a woman hanging around in the background, and she eventually came over, and I was a little nervous, like, why is she behind us? This feels a little awkward. And she came over and she said, hey, listen, I could hear what you guys were doing, and I just got to tell you, listen, if my dad had done with me what you're doing with your daughter, it would have meant everything to me. It would have changed so much. And she had tears in her eyes. And so I knew, boy, I'm really tapping into something here. I got to keep doing this. It's really worth fighting through my own judgments of Barbies and whatever to push through that to that point where I can delight in my child delighting in something. And what a gift that is. If you've never been delighted in, I am so sorry, and I hope that you will experience that, whether it's through your kids, whether it's through a friend, whatever way it comes. But even if you are never delighted in, if you will fight to push through and delight in your child, I'm telling you, something will happen that is so potent that it would draw a stranger to be drawn toward it in Target, in the aisle of the Barbie accessories. I hope that you'll look at ways you can play with your kids. You can find ways to have them teach you about things they care about. You can make drawings together. There's so many things you can do. And I will post on my blog a link or a file to some ideas you can use for your family to have fun. There's so many ways you can do it. But it starts with time, and you're going to have to sacrifice some time to get that. And it's going to be very, very costly to come up with 15 or 20 minutes. But if you do it, you'll get something that at the end of your life, there are a lot of things you'll say, well, maybe I didn't need to go to all those meetings. I don't think anybody's going to regret having played with their kids at the end of their lives and having spent more time with them, delighting in them. I wish you all the best. I hope you will play. I hope you'll have fun. I hope you'll show delight. And if you do, I'd sure love to hear about it. I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you soon. All the best to you.